So I had this idea to pick on Iniquity because I just read on Twitter that he was going to be making fun of me in his video over the patch notes. And after watching his video, I found out he wasn't really making fun of me. He was actually praising me for using Cloak. So now I feel really bad, and I just want to just say sorry. I had this whole thing of how I was going to make fun of him, but now it's ruined. So Iniquity, thanks for supporting me, man.
Gotcha, bitch.
Iniquity, you mother... Hey, what's going on, guys? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the patch notes that are coming out tomorrow for Operation Frontier Shield. It's a lot of stuff to cover. There's some stuff I covered in last video over this new patch, but these are the patch notes that are going to be seeing all the new updates coming to the game. But before I actually get into them, I just want to remind everybody we're going to be streaming tomorrow. So Iniquity, Tony Mo, and Jaredude and I are all going to be streaming tomorrow over Frontier Defense. We're going to be trying to team up, try to see how far we can actually get into this game mode, and hopefully we'll have some success. So please check us out on Twitch with either Tony Mo, Iniquity, Jaredude, or myself. Alright, so let's get into the patch notes. So the first patch notes I'm going to cover is Papa Scourge. Big Papa Scourge, man. This guy's been needing a buff for quite a while, and it looks like he's going to be getting one. It's going to be hard to tell once we actually get into the game with the buffs he's getting, but it's going to be something to see. So with the kits, however, it's going to be kind of weird. So for Scourge, the Wildland Fire, the Scorched Earth, and the Tempered Plate are all getting somewhat buffs to their stats. For Wildland Fire, it's getting direct hit increase, as well as increased amount spread throughout the shot. So it doesn't look like you're going to get an additional shot, but however, with the Wildland kit, you're going to be able to deal out a lot more damage. When it comes to the Scorched Earth, it's going to linger a bit longer. So that Scorched Earth that he slams down to the ground, that flame trail is going to last a little bit longer, which in my point of view, I thought it was kind of weak. I thought that was just a weak thing. I mean, if you guys have been playing with me in my private matches, and we all, for the majority of us, play Scourge in our private matches, I'll do Scorched Earth, and it doesn't really do a whole lot. It'll lay down that little trail from the flame core, and it doesn't last for about maybe a second. So I'm glad that they're at least making that last a little bit longer. And finally, Tempered Plating is actually making him immune to his own damage, as well as there's no crit hit on his Titan. So that's going to be awesome. It's going to make him last hopefully a little bit longer. I can see some close encounters that I'm going to be doing, because that's how I fight with Scourge. I love fighting Scourge close encounter with people, so I can lay down fire all around me and try to dance with people inside the fire. So I look forward to that. And also, one thing I want to cover as well is that he will be getting a dash, as well as all the ogres. So Legion and Scourge are both getting one dash. And as well for Scourge is that his flame wall is actually getting wider. So they're increasing the width of his flame shield. So the one thing I'm actually nervous about Scourge is the fact that the buffs that he's actually getting are for the kits. So you have to select one or the other. You have to select either Tempered Plating, Scorched Earth, or Wildland. And to me, I don't know how much of a choice that people are going to have. I think for me, I'm going to pick Tempered Plating just so I can get in close. I always find myself kind of dancing around my own fires and walking through it and getting a lot of damage through that, so that's why I'm picking that one. But the only passive thing that he gets is a wider flame shield, which I'm not going to bitch about. That's awesome. But I wish there was more to it. I wish there was more things to it, but I'm definitely going to wait to see tomorrow to give my kind of opinion about it, but it just makes me curious on how well these kit buffs are going to do for Scourge. The next Titan up is Legion, and Legion is actually getting kind of a nerf. So to his power shot that he's getting with the secret compartment, they're actually reducing the damage to that, which to me, I'm not really going to bitch about. I didn't really use it. I always kind of thought it was kind of a cheesy way to get additional damage, but I'm not going to complain about it. I kind of see the reasoning why they're actually reducing the damage to that. So good on them, make it a little bit more fair for everybody. So yeah, I don't see a big discrepancy with that. Ronin. Now, Ronin's actually taking a little bit of a nerf as well. So 5% reduction in sword blocking damage. Now, one thing that I've experienced a lot with Ronin, and I know Iniquity uses Ronin a lot, the fact that I'll run into Ronins all the time, and I will just be either shooting them with the minigun or lighting them on fire from Scourge, and like barely taking any damage. I'm just like, oh my god, you know, what do I have to do in order to get around this sword block? So it will be interesting to see what this 5% does to the sword block. I can't wait to actually see on Tuesday what it does, but I really do look forward to it. The last Titan that actually got some changes to it was Monarch, but real quick, I want to cover over some changes that actually affect all the Titans. So not only did I already tell you guys that Scourge and Legion are both getting dashes, which they did not have before unless you had Turbo Engine. So for those Titans that have, for Legion and Scourge, if you actually select Turbo Engine, it decreases their dash from 10 seconds, which is a passive, to 5 seconds. So you can imagine, Scorches and Legions just kind of flying around the map with their dodge, which is awesome too because that gives them a little bit more defensibility around the map. I know, I select Overcore a lot, and I wish when I had a dash, I had it, but it's now going to be cool to always have it all the time. But actually, speaking of Overcore, so using Overcore a lot, I know that you can get your core quite quickly. Well, they've actually reduced the Overcore meter to 20% instead of 30%. I understand why they did this because a lot of people do it. I know Iniquity in his video said, he thinks a lot of people do it, and I really do think a lot of people do it. Hell, I do it all the time. So I do understand why they are actually making this change to Overcore, and also too to Electric Smoke. So they've changed the Electric Smoke meter from 25% to 20%. It still unlocks immediately with Overcore, but it actually, if you don't run Overcore, it unlocks a lot easier now. So people have a lot more better ways to defend themselves. So they're not using a dash. They at least have Electric Smoke early on in the game when they actually jump into their Titans. Finally, the last change that's coming to the Titans is the Monarch. So Monarch's getting nerfs and buffs. So for her buffs, she's getting an increase to her magazine size for the Exode 16 from 35 to 40. I understand that because it's funny when you play Monarch, those 35 rounds actually go pretty quick. So completely understand that. I'm happy that they're kind of increasing that firepower to her. She definitely needs it. Now this one I thought was actually particularly funny. So reduce the strength of the slowdown effect of Energy Siphon. Now if anybody's ever done this to somebody or had it done to them, you know that you'll be just going at a full speed and all of a sudden just slow down because as soon as you get hit, it's like, ah, damn it, not again. Next is they actually reduce some of the effectiveness to arc rounds. Now, arc rounds, if you actually play as Monarch with that kit, you can take down Ion and Scorch's shields pretty quickly. So it's nice that they actually reduce some of that effectiveness because it does suck to try to defend yourself and you're just getting pummeled and then all of a sudden your shield goes away. And also, too, so this is one problem that I have as a cloaked player. So multi-tracking missiles will actually track onto cloak players if I'm invisible. And I don't know why this is a thing, but thank God they're fixing it. It's so annoying to be invisible in this game and get tracked on from stupid stuff. Next are some of the changes they've actually made to the weapons in this upcoming patch. So aim assist for ARs and SMGs are actually being changed. So it's going to take you a little bit longer to actually lock onto people when you are actually shooting. I know sometimes it's pretty easy to get a lock on with aim assist if you're just kind of like barely following somebody, but now at least in the patch notes it says you have to be aiming pretty close to them to actually get any type of assist whatsoever with ARs and SMGs. Now with SMGs as well, they're talking about how they have decreased some of the range damage to it, which I completely understand. I'm one of those guys that gets really upset when with a alternator shooting me from across the map, and I'm like, the hell, it's an SMG. Why am I getting hit from far away? So I'm looking forward to that change. I know some people are kind of scared that more people are going to be selecting ARs over SMGs, but I'm going to give this patch a chance. I'm going to see what happens. If more people are using ARs and SMG, then there's definitely a problem because you want to try to make every gun a viable thing for everybody to use. So next up we have the G2, and I know a lot of people have been complaining about the G2, so have I, but we're not really seeing any damage reduction to this gun. So what we're seeing is a reduce in fire rate. So I don't know how much that will have a change on the game. I know when people are playing this game, you can hear the G2 from a mile away just spamming the trigger on it. So that'll be very interesting to see what type of effect it has on players that use that gun quite a bit. I know I've been kind of comparing the G2 to the DMR, which has a very slow firing rate and has a kick like a mule. So I'll be very interested to see, what type of changes and how that changes to the G2. And actually, speaking of the DMR, so the DMR, I don't know if it's getting a buff, a nerf, or whatever, but in the patch notes it says it's slowing down the firing rate of the DMR. And I do believe the DMR kind of has a slow firing rate, or at least it's kind of on the par of the G2. Depending on how fast you can pull the trigger, that's how fast the gun's gonna go. With the DMR, it says they're hoping that with a slower firing rate, people are going to be able to kind of get their shots, you know, precision shots more often. I don't know how true that'll be, but I mean, I look forward to seeing it and trying it out again. Last on the weapon change is to the flatline, and I feel like this gun does not get a whole lot of love that it used to anymore. So actually what you're watching right now is some old footage of where the flatline was at before anything was touched to it. And I feel really bad for the flatline. The flatline was an amazing gun when it came out. Yeah, it had terrible recoil, and it was kind of hard to control, but it was an amazing gun just because of how much damage it could actually deal out with each shot. So I don't know how many people are going to be switching over from the R101 and the R201 back to the flatline, but I mean, at least in the patch notes it says the flatline's still kind of powerful mid-range, but I probably won't be using it anytime soon. I think the one thing I'm actually happy to see, though, is the fact that the Mistress, my Spitfire, did not get touched whatsoever in this patch for the update, and I'm happy. I know her reliability. I know what it takes to actually go down and kill people in gunfights, so I'm happy that, you know, she wasn't touched, and I don't have to relearn something like some of these other guns. So awesome. Thank you, Respawn, so much. Now, for pilot abilities, there was only one pilot ability that was actually touched in this patch, and it was phase shift. So previously in TTK, you know, they reduced phase shift from 2 phase shifts to 1. So they're actually reducing it again. They're reducing it back down to 1. So this can be a kind of a relief for people that get into gunfights with phase shift, and people, you know, phase shift twice to get out of the gunfight and run away. So I'm really happy about this. There's been numerous fights where I've gone into where people phase away, and they're never seen again. So thank you so much for reducing that down. And it's going to make, you know, gunfights with people that use phase shift a lot more fun now. So changes for boost. I'm really happy that this change was made. So for smart pistols, can no longer lock onto cloak players that are actually invisible. There's been so many times where I've been invisible and get locked on. I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's funny because when you use Legion and you use a Smart Core does not track on to people that are invisible that are using cloak, but Smart Pistol does. So it was always like the one thing I was like, why is this? Why does the pistol lock on, but Legion Smart Core doesn't? So thank you again making this change. It's awesome. It's gonna make me, you know, it's gonna feel fantastic to play as a cloak player again, just because of some of the changes to lock on abilities in this game. And for the final changes that I'm actually going to talk about in the patch notes, the fact that we are finally having some decent, awesome changes to the melee system. So I know, and it's funny too, I read through the patch notes and I like fit into each category of these melee changes. So the first one is lunge time and melee hit frame. So they're reducing this down. So for people like me that, you know, will shoot at somebody that's chasing somebody down to melee, it's going to give you an extra few seconds or just a split second to get that extra shot in that you need, that somebody is just chasing you down to get that melee strike. It's awesome. I've been in a number of situations where I'm shooting at somebody and just, you know, maybe a split second that I would need, you know, I would need, you know, one extra shot, but I still get meleeed. So awesome for us that we're going to get, you know, that one split second of time to actually get an extra shot in before getting meleeed by our enemies. Melee lunge reduction. Thank God for this. I've gotten so tired of the 40-yard, 40 feet, whatever you want to call it, lunge that some people do across the map. It's been the craziest thing just to see somebody from like a stationary position to all the way flying in your face with a melee. So I'm happy to see that. Hopefully, you know, when it comes to, you know, playing this game tomorrow in multiplayer after playing Frontier Defense, I'm not going to be getting meleeed from across the map. I really look forward to that. This is like the one thing I wanted to see in this game besides a G2 nerf. So thank you so much for this change. Lastly, and this is one that I've run into a lot, punching somebody when you're literally right in front of their face. There's been numerous times where I'll be in front of a pilot, throwing my fist out, and nothing connects, and I'm like, why is it not connecting? So they're actually increasing that range. So, you know, you'll get in somebody's face now, be able to melee them, and it'll be completely fine. You won't run into the situations that I had to run into, where you would be right in somebody's face, melee them, and it not connect. Well, guys, that's all the patch notes I'm going to cover. There are some minor ones that I'm going to leave in the description below where you guys can actually check out the patch notes from Respawn. But yeah, I really do look forward to this patch. I really do. You know, Tuesday morning can't come soon enough. I'm going to be getting my workout early in the morning to knock it out. So whenever the patch actually comes out, I'm going to be ready to go and be able to stream with Iniquity, Tony Mo, and Jared. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys are able to come by and support us. And just have a good time with us. I think more or less we're just wanting to have a great time with this Frontier Defense. It's going to be awesome to have it brought back to us and just have a lot of fun with it. So please, if you guys ever have time, ever have a chance, come by, stop by the Twitch channels with us, and just have a great time with us. One thing before I let everybody go, I would love to know what you guys think about this new patch. You know, reading the patch notes, going over everything I talked about in this video, what do you guys think about the patch? What do you look forward to? What do you wish it was added to this patch, into the game tomorrow? And just let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to know what you guys have on your mind. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for you guys never miss another video, either covering over Titanfall or other games that are coming out this year. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and I will see you guys next time.